Welcome back, guys. In this lesson, we'll talk about one of the most important things or features that will make GTM what GTM is today. The core of all measurement is GTM. In fact, GTM is also called as a JavaScript deployment machine. And what makes GTM more efficient, more stronger, more versatile is the data layer ability, right? So we'll talk about what is a data layer, right? I've already shared a little document on what data layer is. In this video, we'll talk about how to push values into data layer, how the syntax will look, and if a developer is pushing the values into data layer, how do you read them in GTM? Remember, you can use DOM scraping techniques. DOM scraping technique is anything that you see on the website, you can read it using JavaScript. But the point is, if you do like that, if a developer changes or somebody changes the backend, even some small element, right, the whole code might break. That means whatever values you're trying to read, they will break or the data will not be sent. So rather than that, GTM came up with one concept called data layer. So they said, hey, rather than scraping content one from here, price here, title here, ID here, why don't you put all of them into one single place or one single object called as a data layer? Right? So data layer has particular schema is rules and regulation, which GTM can really understand, GTM can really read. And GTM has an amazing feature called data layer variable. When you create a data layer variable in GTM, you specify the variable name, the GTM will go into the data layer and get that exact value. So today I'm going to show you how that GTM code will look like and how you can really give it to your developer and get the developer to implement a data layer push whenever somebody interacts with some element on your site, whether it be scrolling down or clicking on this or add to cart, view content, purchase, checkout, anything. So we have created one separate tool. I'm going to take you through that tool. The tool is, it's called data layer builder. Now see, first thing, basically you can ask your developer to initiate a data layer. Data layer is nothing but an object. It's basically an array, but array is also a type of object, right? So in this object, you can group details together, and these details are grouped in the form of key value pairs. I will show them, right? So when you say it is an array, you can use the push method. See, example, I am a developer or I have a developer. So I tell developer, would you please initialize the data layer? The developer can initialize the data layer. How you can initialize the data layer? Just put script data layer is equal to array. But the problem is, if he initializes the data layer, next time again GTM or imagine next time he initializes the data layer again, the values in the data layer which were earlier there will be lost because the data layer is initialized again. That is why you don't tell your developer to initialize it. When you put GTM on your website, when GTM loads, GTM will automatically initialize an empty data layer. Once a data layer is initialized, which is an array, you can simply use the push method to store values in that array. I'm going to show you. You see, that is why what you do is, you see, data layer is basically an array. If I have to show you here, I'll do like this, JS bin. Let me go to JS bin quick. I don't want this. I want only JavaScript. I don't want output. I want only console. Now I'll write like this. Basically, data layer is nothing but array. Now see, I can push something into data layer. How can I push something into data layer? I can use something called push. I can put my name as Prashanth. Now what I'm doing, I'm trying to console log. Then when I console log, first initialization of data layer is done, which is empty, and then I'm pushing one value into data layer. Why? Because it's an array. In the array, you can use one method called push. I'm pushing Prashanth. Now see what I'm going to do. Again, I'll initialize data layer here. When I try and print data layer, what will happen? It will print empty. That means what I'm doing, I initialize the data layer here. I pushed one value into data layer. By the time code runs here, the data layer is having one value called Prashanth. And then I'm initializing the data layer again. That means all the values which are in data layer, which is Prashanth, is now gone. That is why it is never advised to initialize the data layer twice. You tell your developer to initialize it, it is good. But don't tell him to initialize again after the values are stored. That's why always good practice, don't initialize the data layer. GTM will do it for you. If you go look at the GTM code, by default when GTM loads, if the data layer is not initialized already, it will initialize an empty data layer. If the data layer is already there, then GTM will take that existing data layer rather than creating an empty one. Because if it creates an empty one, all the data the developer put in data layer already will be lost because it is initializing again. That is why we use the syntax. If you go on the internet, you might find syntax like this. The syntax will read like this: window dot, I'll tell you, data layer is equal to window dot data layer, or they put like this. Why they put like this is because the original idea behind this is we want to make data layer a global object, and then we are telling it, if the data layer is already initialized, take the data layer, don't initialize it again. If the data layer is not initialized, then you initialize the data layer. That's why you use or. If it is not there, empty. If it is there, use the data layer which is already being initialized. I hope this is clear. So what I'm going to do is, you can tell your developer to push all those values into data layer. Now I'll show you live. See, this is data layer. Data layer is basically an array. In the array, you can use a push object. Now see, I'm going to remove all these things. So I hope you understood this data layer initialization. Now when I console log, it will print data layer as Prashanth. When I try to initialize, it prints data layer as Prashanth. Now you see Prashanth. Now what I want to do is, I want to push one more name, data layer dot push. Now when I push this, what is going to happen? Now when I try and print, it prints Prashanth and Joel. That means push method is not replacing the value which is already in data layer. It is only adding the values at the last, preserving the values which are already there in data layer, which is an array. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to data layer dot push. I will this is 31. So push is doing what? It is preserving the one which is already there and pushing new one. Now what if I want to remove the last one? If you want to remove the last values, you simply put pop. When you simply put pop, when I run it, no, 31 is removed. Why? Pop will remove the last one. Now what if I want to remove, instead of pop, what if I want to remove the first one? I will type shift. When I type shift, you see the Prashanth is removed. Prashanth is removed. Right? Now if I want to write something called unshift, if I put unshift as, I'll put measure. The unshift method adds value at the beginning. You see, measure marketer Prashanth Joel 31. So push is going to preserve the value which are already there and then add something new. So that is exactly what you're going to use on array, and these are functions. And when I use data layer dot push, it tells me data layer is basically an array. In the array, you are pushing an object. If you see object, and object always have key value pairs. So see, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you how to read the values also. So I will put my name as Prashanth. Okay. I will company I will put as measure marketer. Now remember, key value. So whatever you put in object, and what, see, you remember, we are pushing into data layer which is an array. I am pushing only one value, and this value is an object which is a group of values. Getting me right? Here if you see, each value is different. Here Prashanth is different, Joel is different. But here when I am pushing object into data layer, there are multiple things in the object, multiple key value pairs, but all those key value pairs are nothing but only one. Let me show you. You see, console.data layer. If I want to see the length of data layer, if I simply type in here, you see, okay, let me remove this also, or I push this. Now you see, when I remove it, it is going to tell me the data layer. How many values are there in data layer? Okay, let me write console.log data layer. When I type in this, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 values. That is why length is 4. I hope you're able to understand. Length is 4. Right? Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to add something new here. Data layer dot push. In this push, I'm pushing an object. In this, I'll put name Prashanth, I'll put age 31. You see, now after this I am pushing something. Here I was pushing only one value, string, number, string, but here I'm pushing something called as an object. Now 1 2 3 4, it is 4. Now you see 1 2 3 4, but you might say, Prashant, this one is 5th, this one is 6th, this one is 7th. No, it is only one, because together they are grouped into an object. That's why it only says 5. 1 2 3 4, this is an object, and that is exactly what you're doing. So whatever here we're pushing, if the values are already there in data layer, they'll be preserved, but this extra value will be pushed, and all this value is nothing but an object group of details together. So I'll put company, I'll put ages 31. I'll put married. I will put the boolean. Yes, I'll put true. What I'm doing, children. So when I type children, I am writing another object here. You see, object means key value pairs. So I'll write daughter, Alicia, son, Joel. Right? Now, see, key value, key value, key value, key value, key value. The value is an object here. And these values can be of different types: string, number, boolean, array, object. So far I've used string, number, boolean, object. And in the last one, here I will say skills, I'll put. And here instead of this, what I'll do is I'll put something called as an array. Array means, again, array, you can group details, but they have an index. I'll show them once I do it. At 0, I want to put something called Google Linux Ninja. And again, in 1, I will write string as GTM Ninja. I'll put Excel expert. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like this and click on. Now I'm going to go here. So first I will initialize data layer. Here I am initializing because GTM did not load. Had GTM been loaded, GTM would have already initialized it as an empty data layer. Now see, I've created this, right? The whole thing. Because this recording is troubling me, so I want. Now see, it is opened, it is closed. Object open, object closed. In that you have another object, array. Now if I simply go type in console.log, you see it is an array. In the array you have an object. What object? Key value key. Key is age, value is 31. Key is children. The value is nothing but another object. And in that object you have key value, key value. Next one, key value, key value, key value. Key value is an array again. Now what if I want to do data console.log data layer.length. Now when I print this, what will happen here? Now tell me how many are there. You might say, Prashant, of data layer, how many are there? It will only print 1. There's so many things in data layer, right? No, but they're all part of one object. That is why the length is only 1. Now the question is, how do I read my daughter's name? How do I read my daughter's name? So for that, what you have to do, you have to understand console log data layer. Why data layer is the array. In the array I want to read what? I want to read my daughter's name. So array, if you want to read values from an array always starts with 0. Array values, array, whatever is stored in the array, you always read it with 0. Now data layer is an array. In that, right now you are pushing only one. It is in what position? 0. So what I am going to do is I am simply going to put 0, data layer of 0. Now you see, when I, let me do like this, let me print and show you. You see, data layer of 0. So what I'm doing is, from data layer of 0, if I something called children. So in the data layer array, in the 0th index, the first length is 1, which is 1 means 1, but it starts with 0. In data layer of 0, I want to access this key. Why I'm doing dot, because if you want to read values from an object, because see, it is an object. Data layer is an array. If you want to read values in data layer, you always go with index, and this is index 0. In that index, what is the first one? It is an object. Data layer is only having one value, that's why length is 1. In that, it starts with 0. That's why I'm saying data layer of 0. But 0, what is there? Object is there. If you want to read any value from the object, you always put dot, and what object you want, what value you want to read? Children. So I type in children. When I type in this, what will happen? You see, it is going to print the object daughter. So I want to read my daughter's name. So now see, daughter, again children is an object. If you want to read value from an object, again you put dot. I put like this, you see what will print? Ecclesia. That means I am using dot notation to read values from the object. Now what if I want to read my I want to read GTM Ninja. So I have to write data layer. In the data layer I have 0. In 0, what I have to do? Object. What is the object? Yeah, this is an object. In the object, what value? Skills. But in skills, what do I want to read? I want to read Ninja. So I can type GTM. GTM. Okay. No. If I type GTM Ninja, okay, it will not work. You know why it will not work? Because this is not an object. Had it been object, I would have to give the key. Object is key value pair. But here it is an array. So you can't put dot. So in that case, what you do, in skills of, this is 0, array 0, 1. If I simply put skills of 1, then you see what it will print. It will print something called GTM Ninja. So important thing that you must remember is, if you're trying to read value from an array, you identify the value, the index of that value, put that index, and then get the value. I hope you're able to understand. If the value is an object, then you have to use dot again. If you want to really practice this, I would recommend you to go to a website called Practice Data Layers. Data layers can have they store different values. Here it is a string data type. Here it is a number data type. You see, for example, if I put here as name, it's printing name. It is printing in double quotes because it is a string. But here if I put age, if I put in 31, it will not print in quotes because it becomes a string. Now right now it is a number. If you want to take boolean, I will say married, I will say true. You see it is printed. Right? But t has to be small, but my developer made a mistake here. Now in this, what I am doing, data layer dot push object array. In that array we have an object, key value, key value, key value, key. Value is another object. So here I'll put something called whatever. So you see the same thing is done. Data layer. If you see here, key value, key value, key value, key value is an again array. So no, it's an object. Value is an again object. If I want to read the value of Honda City, so what I have to do? Data layer of 0. Data layer of 0. Data layer, because it is 0. Data layer of 0 dot brands. In that brands, I have to put dot car, then I'll get Honda City. Now here it says, if you want to read the value of price, then you have to do what? Cars is the object. In data layer, cars is the object. In the object, I want price, cars dot price. Why I'm not giving the whole data layer? Why? Because when you go to GTM, you have a separate variable called data layer variable. When you say you are creating a data layer variable, you don't have to write data layer dot, because you're already reading value from data layer. So it is good that you tell your developer to put values in data layer, and you can go and read those values. Had it been an object, you can simply put dot and specify the key. If it is an array, you specify the index of that particular item. And in that, again, if you want to get the value, if it is an object, you put dot again. You see data layer. Now you don't have to write data layer dot, because already it is a data layer. You simply have to specify what cars dot price. So if this is the code that we have developer has put, if this is the code that developer has put, and I want to read the price in the data layer, I want to read which object? Car object. In the car object, I want to read which one? Price, which is car dot price. So when I put this, automatically GTM will go and get the price as 50,000 rupees, 5 lakh rupees, whatever. I hope this is clear. If you want to practice more, you can go to a tool that I showed you. You can still practice, try and practice, and then that way you'll get some confidence, because implementing enhanced e-commerce tracking or implementing anything that you want to send events to Facebook and you need support of developer, it's best that you work with data layer, and GTM's ability will go beyond limits if you can really understand the power of data layer. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.